to the point where you're done qualifying, okay, here's your transition. Your transition is write this down. Well, based on everything you just told me, this program is a perfect fit for you. That's your transition. Based on everything you just told me, the program is a perfect fit for you. Where are you on the line? You're here, right? About right there. Now, here's the beauty of the system, the straight line. Watch. All this stuff happens, right? You're going to make 100 calls, and you're going to have 100 conversations that'll be different. But every single time, you're going to end up at the same spot, which is right here, saying the same words. Well, based on everything you just told me, the program seems like a perfect fit for you. You always end up in the same spot. So this is an anchor for you. In other words, your anchor point is when you say the first word is, hi, is John there? That's anchor number 1. Okay? Anchor number 2 is right here. Well, based on everything you just said, it seems like a perfect fit for you. And that's your transition into your presentation. Now, will you say that if it's not true? If it's not a perfect, will you say that? No, right? You're going to eliminate the guy right there. You're not going to pitch a guy and bang him over the head. So I don't want this to be like, it's generically unethical where, oh, based on everything, even though you're a grandma 85 years old, it still makes perfect sense for you. That's not what I mean. What I mean is you're going to get the people who it makes sense for, and that is your line. It's the same way every single time. You have all these questions that were asked with this precise tonality, okay? And you get to this point right here, bam, and you're perfectly on the line. Doesn't matter what happened up to this point. Other than that, you gathered your intelligence and you have your report, okay? Now you go into your main body of your presentation, okay? Which is going to be short, no more than a page. And I have it written out for you. And I made the presentation in a way that you can put your own stuff in there. It's like modelable, okay? So what you're going to do here is you're going to go into your presentation, right? You're going to ask for your first order right about here, first time. And at this point, what are you waiting for here? What are you waiting for? When you're asking for the order, you say, believe me, you'll be very impressed. Sound fair enough? What are you looking for here? You're looking for the guy to say no. We expect no. This is your next anchor here, right at this point. Your first no. You ever watch Law and Order? Like one of these TV Boston Legal, they have this, and it's funny because they have this thing they do is like they'll be on trial, right? And the lawyers are, in their chairs and the witness is on the stand, their witness, right? And all of a sudden the DA will come up with some killer piece of information and the witness gets stumped, right? And the lawyers go, ah. And they just shake their head and the jury looks over at the lawyers and say, oh, we know it all along and the lawyers gave away, right? They dropped their guard, they showed their face and said, and keep a poker face, right? That's the exact opposite of what you do as a salesperson. You never, ever do the Law and Order head drop. Oh, my God. The guy said no. Ugh. You get it? Whatever he says is exactly what was expected. It's always the expected response, okay? So when he says no, you perk up. You're expecting it, okay? This is the key right here. Major anchor. The first no. From that point, you're going to run your first pattern. And this is going to be the pattern to establish this. Number one, that the product is the best thing since sliced bread. We'll get to this in a second. I'm just going to give you a quick run through the line, okay? So what you're going to say to the guys, you gave him this presentation, right? And he says, let me think about it. So do you say to him, well, why do you want to think about it? That's answering his objection directly, right? You do not want to do that. We're going to engage in a process called deflection. You're going to deflect his objection. In other words, put it off to the side. It's unimportant. A, it's not even a real objection. If he says, I don't have any money, it's a different story. If he says, I only think about it, I'm talking about wife, whatever, deflect it, okay? You're going to handle that objection, but you're going to handle it on your timing. Not when he wants it, when you want it, okay? So you're going to deflect no matter what he says here. No matter what he says, I don't care if he talks about the price of tea in China. Your first question is going to be, I hear what you're saying. Not I understand what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. But let me ask you a question. Does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea? That's pattern number one you're going to run. Doesn't matter what happens. Because I am telling you this for sure. He's not at a 10 in terms of his love of your product. He's just not. You didn't try to even get him there. Your pitch is not designed. Your presentation, and I'll get to the presentation in a second, it wasn't designed to get him there. You're just getting him in the game, showing him some benefits so he gets up there, likes it, and seems good, right? Does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea? Now, you're not going to say, we went through this yesterday, money aside, does the idea make sense to you? No. You don't say that. But implicit in your tonality is that money is aside. You're like, well, let me ask you a question. Does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea? Like, no big deal. Money aside. That's your first question. Do you see you're starting to see the concept of the line here, that it doesn't matter what happens. Every sale is exactly the same. That's the power of somebody that's not a top salesman. They can use every sale's identical. You'll get to all their objections, but on your time frame. And they're going to love you for it because you're not going to think you're deflecting. They're going to be in the game with you because you're in rapport. Okay? You'll get to the I don't want to think about it, but not yet. Because that is going to evaporate when you run the pattern. I want to think about it will disappear. It'll become something else. I want to do something else. I have all the objections. We'll go through those, right? So you run the first pattern, okay? And you say, does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea? He goes, yeah, it sounds good. Is that good enough? Yes or no? Not in the least. Someone says, yeah, if you say something, does the idea make sense? Do you like the idea? 90% of the time, I say, yeah, it sounds good. So the sales says, great. Now, if I've been doing business with you for you cannot move forward on the line. Watch. Every time you move forward, there's 3 ways for it to go. The guy could say an enthusiastic yes, which brings you forward on the line, right? An enthusiastic answer. Yeah, great, absolutely. Let me ask you a question. Do you like the idea? Oh my God, yeah, it's the greatest thing ever. I'll move forward. I'll say, exactly, it really is an amazing program. Move forward. But that happens like maybe 8 to 10% of the time, where someone will be that enthusiastic about your product on the first go-round. If that's the case, he's done a lot of research and he knows that it's far and few between, okay? Mostly, they'll say, yeah, it sounds good. I'll say exactly. And let me say this, and this is the key words here. The true beauty of the program, this is your power words. The true beauty of the program, that's the beginning of almost every loop. And the reason it's called a loop is watch what happens. You already made a presentation, right? Now you're past that. You asked for the order. He says, let me think about it. What do? Do you go slam forward and try to close him? No. You're going to loop back around to resell him the idea. First, you loop backwards. Do not go forward. If you want to sound like a pushy salesman, let him object, answer his objection, and ask for the order again. Just answer. If you answer his objection directly, you seem pushy. And it's no, it doesn't. If he has an objection, you're just like, I know you want to think about it, but thinking about it's not really good. There's only, real estate is location, location, location. In this business, there's timing, timing, and timing. So do it right now. Come on, believe me, you won't be sorry. You're a freaking idiot. You're like you're awful as a salesperson. You're doing that. And not, said well, if you walk into a room of untrained salespeople, they'll be doing that, and so say, wow, that guy's a good salesman. He's the worst, that guy. That's not how it works. What happens is you have to loop back first and now resell your product in a much more effective manner. Your secondary script is going to be the one that's much more powerful than your first script. Because you know, remember, you're keeping your powder dry. You know it's just going to take a certain amount of time for you to wear down this person's beliefs about buying. It's going to take you a certain amount of time to pick the combination lock. You can't pick it all at once. Okay? So you keep your powder dry. You now put in some much more powerful benefits. So your secondary pitch is more bullet-oriented. One very powerful fact. And when you get to that, you say, you see what I'm saying? Does the idea make sense? Say, oh, no, yeah, great, I like it, it's great. The second go around, they'll go up on you. They'll say, yeah. If they were saying, yeah, it's pretty good, they'll say, no, it's great, yeah, I really like it. Now they're probably at an 8 or a 9, maybe at a 10 if you did a good job, depending on how hot they were. Now you can move forward and continue the loop. So that's your first loop, right? Then you would move forward and you would ask him another question. That's going to start cutting through his buying beliefs about